You ready? I'm Austin.
I'm Jessica.
This is Gaming as Adults, and we have been seeing a lot of articles that are all about how mining is bad and anything about mining or related to mining is also bad.
Mining bad.
Roll intro.
We don't have one of those.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you could throw something up there. I don't know.
Alright, so we have gone through about a week's worth of articles.
And at this point, most of them are about 4 to 5 days old. We wanted to let all of the articles come out.
Yeah.
So here is the world events that has happened. The cryptocurrency pretty much crashed. I mean, basically, Bitcoin went from like 58,000 to like 40-some thousand. I think it's currently sitting at around 20. Here, I can check. So real world, what happened is cryptocurrency crashed, and Bitcoin went from approximately $60,000 to about $20,000. So it is now 1/3 of its value as of like a couple months ago. With that, like a lot of people don't mine Bitcoin anymore. However, a lot of people mine Ethereum. And Ethereum is moving to a new algorithm, which means that you can't mine it anymore. Pretty much is the gist of it. With all of this happening all at the same time, there are huge corporate mining facilities that are selling off all of their inventory and trying to liquidate stock to mitigate losses out in Asia. Specifically in places like China and Taiwan, and I think that there's 1 or 2 of them in Korea, South Korea, I should specify. North Korea doesn't have the power for that. South Korea specifically.
Supposedly they're all concentrated there due to low electricity costs.
That's a lie.
They're
there because that's where all the GPUs are. It's very easy. We just went through a GPU drought. And so it's very easy to get water when you're at the spigot. Just saying. So,
that being said,
let's talk about this first article.
We're going to start with the article that all the other ones seem to reference from wccftech. Now, all my points, I'm going to just kind of chuck them out there and he'll elaborate.
Okay.
Anyway, the whole article basically says don't buy used mining cards because the memory will be dead. No exceptions.
Oh, you want me to elaborate? Okay. So, on a Chinese forum in China, where... how do I put this? Businesses in China are owned by the communist government. You don't just start a hot dog stand. The communist government comes out to you and says, you are now a hot dog stand owner, and that is what you do. There are very little freedoms about this. So when the communist government says you will mine cryptocurrency, they erect a giant building and they mine cryptocurrency like by the tens of thousands of GPUs. They're huge, they're massive, and they consume so much power, right? So when they liquidate their inventory, they're not going through and cleaning any of these cards. They never cared for any of these cards. They didn't care about power draw or over protection, over current protection, over voltage protection, over clock speed, nothing. They ran them dry because that is what a corporate mining facility does. Knowing this, if you live in China or have been around these kinds of mining facilities, you should know very, very plainly the type of conditions that you may receive a card from. What happened was there was a gentleman who went on a Chinese forum, and he was complaining about how he purchased one of these cards that was an MSI 3080. I think it was 3080 or 3080 Ti, right? Which comes in 2 flavors, a 10 gigabyte and a 12 gigabyte variant. And this particular one only showed up as 8 gigabytes of memory on his, like virtually, on GPU-Z. Which is a problem. Which means that they did some sketchy stuff in order to get this GPU running. Because if you drop 2 gigs of memory on your graphics card, more than likely it no longer turns on.
It's dead.
And so this is one forum post. It should also be put in there that, first and foremost, the buyer should have known exactly what they were getting into.
He did mention he knew that he was buying it from a mining company. And this was the article's only source, was this one dude who got 1 card.
Correct. And I will also say that if you are skilled enough, you can tamper with that on your own. And you can make it look as though, like we've seen this in the past. There's numerous videos where they will grab a, like, GTX 550 and they'll be like, oh yeah, brand new 780 Ti. And it's not even close. So what he didn't put in there was any performance benchmarks. It didn't, like, no Firestrike, no, like, I ran it through Counter-Strike once or twice. I decided to open literally any game at all. Nothing. So
I do have a note on the forum post as well that the brand of the car that he bought is very rarely ever seen in the US. And all of these articles are targeted at the US audience.
I don't know if that's entirely true looking back on it, because I made that off the wall comment. This is my bad. This is me. I made that off the wall comment. And then I looked it up, and you can purchase that card in America. We are in the United States, in case you didn't know. So that card is actually available in the United States. It's not very common because it's an MSI, and MSI has been... this is a topic for another day, but basically their products have been really odd and sketchy and don't perform like they used to since their CEO committed suicide by falling off of a balcony.
Anyway, our next point, moving on from that topic.
Moving on.
The article also talks about memory burnout and how to replace the modules on your own, except it's expensive and just buy a new card.
You, as the end user, will never replace the memory modules on any printed circuit board. To include a graphics card, to include RAM itself, you will never replace the memory modules on a stick of RAM. You will never do it, ever. Because the process to do that is, first and foremost, you need like a laser grid alignment. So the way that they're actually soldered on is with hot air, not a soldering iron, because you have roughly-ish about 1,000 tiny little beads of solder at about a 1 square inch. Yeah, go ahead, do that by hand. Let me know how that happens. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So there's a special machine that's used to do it. And pretty much you line everything up with literally lasers and a camera. And you try to get it as close as possible. And then you blast it with a bunch of air. These are done by machines. These are done automatically by robots at the factory. You will never do that, ever. If you can do that, just go ahead and start making your own GPU, because you're way better than I am.
All right. We did look on Newegg for any of these cards that they're saying are being resold, because they did mention that Newegg seemed to be a great place to buy these Chinese cards, and we didn't find any of them.
Okay. wccftech is saying that there are live streaming events where they are posting these graphics cards on Newegg.
For auction.
For auction.
Well, no, it doesn't mention where the auctions are happening, but the article also said that you can find them on Newegg. I've yet to see in any of these articles where the auctions are happening.
That is correct. That is correct. So wccftech is talking about how they're doing these live streaming events where you can purchase these secondhand mining cards for auction, and then also says that you can buy them on Newegg.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot find, like, nobody can find them on Newegg. The only thing that I can find on Newegg is sold from Newegg and also out of stock. So that literally helps absolutely nobody. I believe that the vast majority of these cards are available in Southeast Asia, and simply pointing all of this direction at Western audience is fear-mongering.
And then the last comment I have is that the comments on WCCIF Tech's article.
WCCF Tech.
Their article.
There's no I in there.
Oh, well, there's an I now. Is full of YouTube links, memes, and people posting their builds asking for advice, which doesn't seem very connected to the article at all.
Frankly, none of the comments that we saw, we scrolled for like a good while, all the comments and replies on comments, almost none of them have anything to do with the article at all. It looks as though somebody took a botnet and had them just start throwing things at the wall. It's like you walked into an elementary school cafeteria and you said, "The milk is free," and they started screaming about random Minecraft things. That's equivalent to what's going on in this comment section of the article. Nothing. I think that it's all just a bunch of people's bots. Let's go on to the next article.
This next one is from Techradar, and it's the first one that was published after WCCF Tech's article. Got it right that time?
Yep.
Okay. The major quote that defines the whole article that we both pinpointed was, "They've been rode hard and put away wet," in reference to these cards.
So, I don't need to show you how well or poorly mining cards will perform after mining. Fact of the matter is, whether you use a card for compute or you use it for a graphical workload, it still performs about the same within standard deviation, right? If you would like evidence of that, of a mining card then being used for gaming, Linus Tech Tips has a wonderful video about it, where they actually did mine on, I'd like to say it's a 1070 for like a year or two. And then, what was his name? He's some South African dude that I think moved to America. He also did a couple of mining videos once upon a time. Those videos are very, very good. I can't think of his name right now. Not very helpful.
And then we also have prime examples of mining cards being used after mining.
Yes.
The card in my machine is still going. It was mined on for how long?
About a year and a half, 2 years. So ultimately what they're talking about here is there are some individuals that don't know what they're doing with the mining. So what they do is the same individuals that don't know what they're doing when they're mining also don't know what they're doing when they're overclocking. Have you ever had your friend who's never built a computer before and he said, "I overclock my GPU"? I come to find out he grabbed MSI Afterburner and took every single slider wheel and scrolled them all the way to the right and was like, boom, overclocked. I'm the best. That's what they're talking about here. And so there are some individuals that on a corporate scale, they just apply that to all of them. They don't care about the fine tuning per card. Because fact of the matter is, when you get 10,000 of them, who cares about 0.1 mega hash? It doesn't matter. So, with some of these cards, they can be burnt out, especially if you don't have things like adequate cooling. There's a bunch of cards that are just pushed together. Some mining racks are like 4U chassis. All in all, the vast majority of it is completely false. Because the fact that I am thinking about an algorithm versus I am playing a game. An algorithm doesn't use all parts of the card. A game does.
Moving on.
Sorry.
Moving on. These are just a couple of comments that I had about the article. Their only reference is the article from wccftech, and the way that the article is written, the subheaders in it are extremely fear-mongering and somewhat frightening to the average person. And then another point is, it makes a point just to buy brand new 4090s or RDNA 3s.
Do you want me to elaborate on that?
If you'd like to.
Let's go through the other two articles, and I will say all of my opinions at once.
Okay. I will just keep going on my points then.
Yep.
Makes a point that this same one from Techradar also makes a point that crypto miners are out to be evil people who should pay for what they've done by buying way too many GPUs than the average person.
People.
And then they also have three contradictions throughout the entire article. First, they start off saying that hardcore mining is a dusty warehouse. Then they go on to say that your buddy who mined with one card is a hardcore miner. And then they claim that some dude with three or four 3080 Ti's is also a very hardcore miner. Which one is it? And then moving on to... Oh, I guess I have three more. There are two articles from pcgamer. The first one is one that is a warning article for dead memory. And they start off saying that the memory is bricked, and then they also go on later in the article to quote WCCF's broken memory.
Let's pause for just a moment. Memory cannot be bricked. Being bricked means that your BIOS no longer function, in which case your card is broken. Bricked. It is as useful as a brick. A component of a PCB cannot be bricked. Moving forward.
It's also written like they have no clue about anything mining. He even admits it at one point in the article, that he doesn't know what he's talking about.
You're the perfect guy to write a story. Here you go.
He specifically said that he did not understand memory shielding, and he also didn't understand over or underclocking applications. So...
Those are very, very critical when mining.
Yeah. And what isn't a copy-paste from WCCF's article is confusing to read and, frankly, very poorly written. Me, who doesn't understand punctuation or grammatical correctness when writing, was internally screaming while trying to figure out what the heck I was reading. He also doesn't really say much in terms of why it's bad or really why you should be avoiding these cards. He just says, hey, don't do it. It's broken. And then there's a second article from pcgamer that is a warning for the Livestream Auctions. And that one makes a point that cheap cards are a gamble, but they may be worth it.
Yeah.
If you know you're gambling and you have the money to gamble, go for it. The article is written much more on the informative side, and he does mention Tom's Hardware and Twitter references for the pricing of these cards. He also says that he found a good number of them on Australia's version of eBay.
Okay.
So he's definitely one of the ones that I would say was more informed about things he's finding. But again, he doesn't mention where these live streams are. He kind of just is like, hey, they're selling them. Don't don't buy them unless you are prepared for the gamble, essentially.
I can get behind that a lot more.
And then our last article is from Rock Paper Shotgun. I've never heard of this group of
online
people.
newspaper. I've also never heard of them. I'm familiar with PC Mag, wccftech, Linus Tech Tips. Pretty much everyone computer related. Rock Paper Shotgun. What?
Their article name is like, there's a flood of cheap X mining GPUs and just don't buy them. Okay. It comes out of the gate saying that WCCF is the one who spotted these low prices, is the one who spotted these auctions. When WCCF goes, hey, check out this guy on this forum.
Right. So there's that.
So they can't even get their source correct. Concerning.
They're playing telephone, and there's some misinformation.
Their writing is extremely amateur and very childish.
Oh my god. At one point in time, this is an article. This is not a video. This isn't anything recorded. No. This is written in plain English. And he goes, first thought, ha 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 ha, period.
Point
like
being,
9 times.
Point being, your 7-year-old would not pass English class with a paper written like that.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then it mentions Linus Tech Tips used tech research and saying that they made a point not to buy used mining cards, that they're an absolute failure and will chug behind anything else.
That's not what they said.
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes.
Pause.
Alright, I'm wrong.
So, Rock Paper Shotgun did not say... Rock Paper Shotgun says that basically what has been proven time and time again, the wheel is still round. A graphics card that, is 2 years old and has been mining for 2 years performs about the same as a graphics card that's 2 years old and just came out of the box. Linus Tech Tips has a wonderful video on this. And there's other individuals on YouTube that have beat this horse dead. And yet the fear-mongering continues. So, what is my opinion on all of...
Can I cover the rest of this?
Okay.
I know, we're getting close to the end. Rock, Paper, Shotgun says that the discount isn't that good on these cards. And then...
It's like $100 to $150.
In some cases.
Some cases up to like $300.
Yep. And then it says, and whereas every other article has said that these discounts are pretty good, if not great.
Yes.
So they're a little bit off on their own field on that one.
Most of the time for computer things, if you can get $20 off, you're like, woohoo, got a discount. If you can get $100 off, you're like,
woo, clearance.
God wills it. And then $300, Dorime.
And then it says that typical private sellers list them for the same discounts. I haven't seen anybody selling any cards lately.
This has to be a regional difference, because I know in America, where we live particularly, you will only find scalper pricing from really, really sketchy computer repair shops. Mm-hmm. So, there's that.
And then probably my favorite quote from this article is, extracting environment melting funny money. This guy's really against crypto.
That's how he described cryptocurrency mining.
And then he kept saying and reiterating to buy from other people on eBay, where there are currently no people selling cards, at least in our area.
I did not see very much on eBay at all. Not a reputable source-ish for a decent price. It's like, okay, so I can buy it brand new from some Chinese middleman, but then I have to spend $130 for shipping and handling for a box that's yay big. Or, I buy it from somebody locally, but they want a $600 card for like $1,200, no.
And then another quote I found in there is, "The collapse in mining profitability is just karmically pleasing." And the rest of the sentence goes on about the potential price drops in brand new GPUs. But again and again, he goes on to say negative things about crypto and just kind of gives the idea that he wants miners to pay for something.
So that's the general consensus here. Are you?
Got two more.
Okay.
All right, and then he mentions an RPS deals hunter Will.
Rock, paper, shotgun, deals hunter Will. So one of the other editors is named Will and is good at striking deals. That's what this means.
Would have been nice to know.
But there's no link as to like who this is or anything like that. So there's, not very helpful.
And then the closing statement is, again, just to wait and buy new cards or buy last-gen cards new at a discount price.
If you're broke. So...
instead of buying these discount cards.
Yes. Okay.
Now, right before you get... we'll jump into his opinion here on all of that, because I'm done.
Something else that has happened in real world is that due to the fact that NVIDIA has not been able to sell as many GPUs to as many, either cryptocurrency miners or data centers or just scientific applications across the board. If it's a research facility or really just consumers, it doesn't really matter. NVIDIA is not able to sell as many GPUs. And NVIDIA is one of the main suppliers for cryptocurrency mining GPUs as of right now. Because AMD, something slower when mining is basically what it comes out to. So, NVIDIA GPUs are also very hot right now. So we can't sell GPUs and they're too hot, and we have too many GPUs and they're too hot, and people want these GPUs and we just lost a bunch of money. What are we gonna do? I know. Fearmonger the media. That is what I think that this is. I think that NVIDIA went out. Now that there's a massive influx of GPUs that are widely available, I think that NVIDIA went out and they paid for a bunch of people to go write a bunch of naughty articles about cryptocurrency mining. One of the most interesting things about cryptocurrency mining is that NVIDIA is the biggest enabler to cryptocurrency mining and then talks bad about cryptocurrency mining. They're playing both sides here, and they're making the problem so much worse. Once upon a time, there wasn't a mining GPU. It was just any GPU. Any GPU can mine. Now there's GPUs specifically to mine, and you can't reuse them. When you have things like a corporate mining scenario, a huge operation like this, eventually those GPUs have to get resold. What happens? Well, even if it's, let's say, it's a card that's supposed to have 10 gigs, but it only has 8, and it is slower, and it works slower. It's not as good. But guess what? For that guy out there who can only afford $500 for a gaming rig or $500 for his graphics card,
that's a pretty damn good deal.
That's a good deal. It's faster than the lesser tier.
It's better than not having a graphics card at all.
Better than not having a graphics card at all. We just came out of a drought. And so when you have all of these cards that absolutely flood the market and you have all this buildup, how are you going to keep your stock from dropping even more other than to scare people into thinking that these cards are bad? It's gotten to the point that individuals like me, I sold my mining rig and I actually cannot afford to rebuild it even though I'd like to rebuild it. 3 or 4 graphics cards is not a competitive miner. 4 graphics cards, 4 3080s. If you could get full bore out of them, right? You would be making about, what did I say, $400 a month?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's not like
You're not paying for the
you're not
electricity.
paying anything. You're like Jessica said, you're not going to cover the electricity. And so these people that are talking about this, frankly, they have no idea what they're talking about. When I sold my graphics cards, I bought all of my graphics cards for $350. I had 6 of them. I made some cryptocurrency. I had fun with it. It was a hobby. That's what it was. It wasn't about making a bunch of money. And then I sold each and every one of those cards, with the exception of 2, for $100 a piece. Because that's what normal people do when they have a mining rig. Your neighbor who has 4 mining rigs is not the enemy. Who is the enemy are these massive multi-billion-dollar corporations that Nvidia is selling all of their inventory to, and then blaming you. You're bad. You took more than one GPU. For shame. Do you know how many GPUs go in a rendering machine? A machine to make graphical animations? Like 8. But God forbid I use 8 for solving a complex math equation for a private, or not, I guess it's a publicly owned bank if you really want to think about what blockchain is. Like, that's the whole thing about this. I don't agree with it. I think that it's wrong to push articles about this, especially if you don't know what you're talking about.
And especially villainizing your neighbor, your friend, the gamer in your lobby.
That's another thing. Who was it? Was it pcgamer that said you should be wary about somebody who sells you a secondhand gaming GPU that they've also mined on?
That was...
I want to say that was pcgamer.
That was not pcgamer.
Because I don't believe it was wccftech.
That was Techradar.
Techradar. I said it previously, and I will say it again. The difference between thinking about numbers versus thinking about pictures, triangles, is nothing. When you actually compute these, one of them is focusing on polygons, the other one is focusing on linear equations.
I mean, we have a buddy who's, he's got 2...
3090s, I think.
He's got 2 cards in his system, and they mine while he's at work, and then he comes home and switches them over to gaming. What profit is he really getting?
Basically nothing. It's pretty much a hobby. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that there is not a difference between mining on a card versus gaming on a card. It's still the same amount of load. As a matter of fact, gaming is probably heavier because what one of the other articles alluded to, undervolting, overclocking, which is something that's very critical if you want to get the best performance out of each card and you're not a multi-billion-dollar corporation who can afford tens of thousands of cards.
He mentioned underclocking.
Underclocking and
memory shielding were the 2 that he mentioned.
It is a thing. You have the core and you have the RAM, and sometimes you don't need the core to be all heavy, and sometimes you need the RAM to be super heavy. So you can take this and drop it down here and bring this up, and it does better math. Does that make sense? And because this is the thing that pulls the most amount of power, when you drop this down and bring this up, the overall amount of power for the card actually came down. So you are now more efficient and producing less heat.
Mining rigs get toasty.
Mining rigs can get toasty.
I think that's about the only thing we saved money on when we had yours going, was we never ran the heater.
We did not have mine running when we paid for electricity.
This is also fair.
I only had it running on free electricity in the dorms.
They didn't know.
They They don't need to know. And in my parents' house, they knew.
They weren't happy.
They didn't like it.
But that being said, your buddy who mines while they're at work, or mines with one of their cards, or has a rig with 2 or 3 isn't your enemy. And if you want to buy these cards, know that, yeah, maybe there might be an issue.
There's risk. Understand that there's risk.
But it's not bad.
Sites like eBay. eBay is a perfect place for a massive, like a massive mining corporation to offload all of this inventory. Because frankly, they don't care too much about the price. They're not gonna haggle with you over $5 or even $20. They're like, you want it, take it. And on eBay specifically, if I buy something and I say, no, this isn't what I ordered, and I submit a complaint, eBay says, well, you're the customer, so therefore you are always right. And whoever the seller is has to pick up the the weight for this, which is easy for a massive corporation.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, I can't sell it to you. I'll just sell it to somebody else.
But these corporations, they're also just after getting rid of it.
Correct.
They're not concerned about who buys it.
It costs them more money to have things in a building that they have to pay rent on than to, eat the cost on pretty much everything that they own.
Yeah.
It's like those big blowout stores. I don't know. You guys may not remember this, but when, it wasn't Sears. It was the one who owned Sears. You know what I'm talking about? Huge department store. It was like the competitor to Walmart.
Kmart?
There you go, Kmart. I don't know if you guys ever got to see it, but when Kmart closed out, oh my god, everything was this 93% off. Just take it and get out of here. You want a mannequin? Kid, come here. School supplies, I don't care. Here, take this. Mom, what do I do with it? I don't know, Jimmy, run.
I'll give you another one. That was...
Yeah, it's pretty much the same exact thing. But I also want to touch base on this. Everyone says mining is the worst for the environment. It consumes electricity. Your computer still is going to consume electricity if you're mining, or graphics cards. Do you know what else consumes electricity? A Tesla car. But somehow a Tesla car, which is like, 26 kilowatts? That's better for than...
It's good for the penguins.
Where's the sense here?
It's good for the penguins.
It's not like I got a fucking gasoline generator like... Man, baby, man. I'm gonna get so many more frequencies out of this.
It's good for the penguins.
Hi, Potato.
Potato is concerned now.
Potato says hi because I made noises. And he's like, oh, pet me? His full name is Potato Nugget. Don't put your face in there. I know. I think we have given our opinion enough.
We have given a pretty good opinion.
If you guys would like to debate with us,
we are open to debating.
I would be more than happy to debate. I would love to debate.
If you're interested in hanging out with us, we've got a Discord. There's recipes.
I found out we have a Steam group. It's called Gaming as Adults, and it's a population of us two.
Yeah.
So if y'all want to
CS:GO or something like
come
that,
join our Steam group, then you're welcome to. Spoiler alert, it's called Gaming as Adults, spelt the same as the channel.
I'm good at naming things.
We're so clever. Okay, we're gonna go now. Bye.
Bye. Hi, buddy.
This is a potato nugget. Like, comment, subscribe for Potato. Potato loves you. See that face? This is the face of love.
He's not so sure about this whole ordeal at the moment.
A little surprise story. If you're still sticking around, which you're probably not, because the fact of the matter is when I do funny things, nobody wants to pick up on it. No one wants to comment.
Oh, hush, keep going.
Oh, come on. It was a funny... They missed computer lube entirely. There's like, yep, that's computer right there.
They did miss
Moving forward.
They did miss computer lube.
Anyways, we picked up Potato, and we took him to like some small mom and pop like pet store.
He's drooling on me.
Oh my goodness. He says I need to cuddles. And one of the clerks sat there and she's like, oh my goodness, he's so cute. What's his name? We said, Potato Nugget. And the full deep south came out. Tater Nugget? You wait right here, Tater Nugget. I'm fixing to get you something.
She came back with a treat for him.
She came back with a little crack. Tater Nugget? I'll tell you what.
You happy boy.
Yeah, I like being held. I'm a lap dog.
Yeah, you're a happy boy.
Yep. He does this quite frequently. This is not an uncommon thing. He likes to be held.
And he may look like he's like flopping over and trying to get away, and quite frankly, he just kind of turns into liquid and kind of just sits there for you.
Yeah, he's melted. We have a melted potato.